Hello everyone, this is spiritual life coach Jennifer Cunningham. Welcome to my channel. And it's been a little while since I've been on, but I get kind of busy, crazy stuff going on, and trying to find the time. I've actually been working with my other channel called The Cackling Crones, and I've been doing a lot of interviews lately and getting them ready to really kick off that channel as it's on there, but I haven't gotten nothing on there yet. So we're getting close, but we're not quite there. So I've really been working on that project, and I haven't even gotten to my other channel with the spiritual homes and witchy gardens, but we'll get there. It will get there. It's just when you're pulled to do something that is feels more important, more urgent than other things, I've just been kind of putting it off a little bit. But I finally got back on here, because this is really important too, the work that I do on here with helping people by telling my story, especially with the kinds of traumas that you can face. And I was reading a book last night. It's actually a series of 3 books by Andrea Perron. It's House of Darkness, House of Light, or it might be vice versa, but oh my God. Talk about amazing what she has been through. Like there's all kinds of different types of traumas. There's, you've got your physical traumas that can happen. You've got your mental, emotional traumas that can happen within families and family cycles. You have the ancestral traumas that are within our memories of our bodies, which I do a lot of work with, as well as like with family stuff. And then there's paranormal traumas that could definitely occur, in which I have experienced within my own life path, if you look at the other channels or other videos prior to this one, I talk a lot about my life path and certain instances that have occurred throughout my childhood with paranormal, but also with family traumas. And so what she's experienced by growing up in an old farmhouse, I think it was late 1600s, early 1700s, something like that. Again, like I would really encourage reading her books, like reading her story, I'm so engulfed with the message, what she talks about right within this one chapter, that I don't remember all the other little facts. And I've read this book before in the past, but sometimes you feel like you got to revisit things. And so I'm glad I did, because like just the message of this, it's just incredible. Oh, I hope I don't lose my spot. Spirit, please don't let me lose my spot. Because I don't want to do that. So I'm like literally fighting with my Kindle right now. Oh, I see why. Okay, let's go back to that. Can we go back to that? How did this occur? Spirit, no. Spirit. Oh, okay, there we go. Sorry. Oh, I don't know what happened, but it kind of glitched on me a little bit. Anyways, her story is so fascinating. So growing up, could you just imagine growing up in a house that is lost in time, that has so many spirits? Like just within my grandma's house, just my experiences that I talk about in my grandma's house with the antique mirrors that she had, and the spiritual activity that I went through with that. And like for the rest of my family, it didn't seem to affect them at all. They weren't aware, but I was very open and very aware. And before I even go further with this, I just want to say that even with the experiences that I have, I don't have the answers, like I can only, and this is why I say all the time, I can only speak my truth within my own experiences, because even with my experiences, I have more questions than I ever do answers. There's so much to it. There's such a mystery. And the way that she explains it is so beautiful that I just had to come on here and share this before I start going further with talking about the next chapter of my life, you know, where I'm really having to face my childhood trauma through the experiences of my step babies, who were currently going through it then, and working with spirit and having to face those traumas at the same time. And like, it was all at once. It was ancestral cycles. It was family stuff. It was my childhood. Oh, it was hands down, I feel, one of the hardest points of my life. And I'm just now getting to the end of those cycles. So even within this last year, I've had to face some really hard stuff, but it seems like Andrea Perron, although there might have been some family behaviors in there, and again, I would strongly suggest reading her books. They're amazing. They're absolutely amazing. Her perceptions on it, what she learned, how she was able to see the beauty even within the darkness, because within the darkness there is light. And that is like any one of us who have been through so much trauma in our lifetime. I mean, those of us that have came out the other side, we can see the beauty in it. We can see the light. We can see the lessons learned. It has me, I can speak for me personally. It has really opened me up, and it has helped me see the world in a whole new way that I never would have before had I not gone through what I did. You cannot go through these things and be the same person. It's for me, that would seem so impossible when you can see the world through a new way. So before I go any further with explaining why I love this part so much, and I hope that it's okay. And, you know, if Andrea Perron were to ever come across this video, which I'm sure she's a very busy lady, like I'm sharing this part, and it's just a small part, like it's almost the full chapter, but I just want to share this part because the message of what she has to say is so beautiful. And I don't want to do it injustice, so I'm just going to read it and let you take from it what you can, what resonates with you, what understandings that you have. And if you don't have any at all, maybe it'll bring something to you. But I just think that her words are just so beautiful. She's such a great writer. Like I am not good with my words. I am so simple about explaining things, and I fumble on my words all the time. And, you know, part of that is, you know, working on the lesson of confidence within myself. And, you know, there's the lesson of not caring what others think, but just to continue to be my authentic self and to move forward with what spirit pulls me to and what my own spirit pulls me to. And I'm just speaking my truth. You know, I have no problem calling myself out and what lessons I'm learning and what I struggle with, because if it helps somebody else who might be going through the same thing, then it's worth it to me. You know, it makes a difference in somebody's life. And to me, just one person means the world to me. You know, so many people have helped me just by listening to their stories. And I feel like this is why Spirit is so strong with sharing the stories. And that's my purpose. That's why I went through what I went through. And that's another thing. Like, I watched a lot of her videos on YouTube, a lot interviews that she's had with other people and things that she's talked about through YouTube. And she said in one of them, and this is me contemplating and fighting with Spirit. I'm just like, they're like, you need to either write a book or do videos, but you need to tell your story. The story is important, okay? And I was really struggling with it, and I was like, there's so many other healers out there sharing their stories, and mine is just one of many. Why would mine be any different? Why would mine need to be shared? Why would it be any more important? Like, I'm perfectly happy just helping people through an individual level, like I do now. You know, I have people that come to me that need spiritual guidance, and I'm perfectly happy with that, you know, just talking one-on-one and doing my healing work that I do. And they said, but you don't know, you're a storyteller. That's what you came here to be. And I'm like, I can't write with nothing. Like, I never went to school for it or anything like that. Like, this woman went through school to be a writer, and she's very good at it. But I have not. But then there was other videos that I ran into when I was looking at other stuff that this is how spirit works. You're looking for something else to entertain you, like how to live off grid, which is what I'm really interested in, because that's, to me, that's freedom. And something will pop up on the feed of, you know, bringing yourself out, or, you know, just all kinds of different things that, you know, what spirit has a way of synchronistically guiding you, is basically what I'm saying. And I lost thought, I'm sorry, as I often do, because something else comes up, another thought comes up that relates to this. But anyways, I can ramble on and on and on about this, but I'm just going to read what she has to say. And I'm going to start with the entry that she put in with another author from the 1800s, because it's so beautiful and it's so relative to my life and what I dealt with. And it's like, like, how did I not come across this in my life before? But everything when we're ready, you know, everything within divine time, right? So I'm going to start out with the entry that she puts in by Nathaniel Hawthorne in the Scarlet Letter. And oh my gosh, so beautiful. It just touched me. In our nature, however, there is a provision, alike marvelous and merciful, that the sufferer should never know the intensity of what he endures by its present torture, but chiefly by the pain that rankles after it. And it still kind of makes me emotional, because you don't know what you're going through at that time. And even now, like, I can look back now and realize, wow, I really did go through a lot, and I made it out the other side. I can't believe I did that. But when I was going through it, I didn't realize just how much I was going through. So very powerful, very potent. And I feel like within our words is not only can we cast spells unintentionally, but we could also cast medicine. Very beautiful. So I'm going to go forward now with what she has to say. To be suspended in the ether, timeless in being, to be immortal, that is the blessing, that is the curse. Humanity has belabored the notion of immortality for a millennium. Time to re-examine the concept. The existence of the soul has been in dispute since the beginning of argument as a linguistic high art form, when people began hypothesizing about themselves and their reason for being human. Once the mind was freed from the constraints of mere survival, once humankind could think about something beyond imperative food and shelter, mental evolution occurred. The human race began to consider itself. To know the significance or insignificance of one's place in the infinite universe is important enough to consider. At least it seems so, based on existence of numerous volumes written on a topic throughout the course of history. It became the imperative. Mortals begin by worshiping what we can see with our own eyes, sun and moon, earth and stars, the cosmos. Much later, only recently in fact, that focus shifted to the molecules which hold it all together as an intermingling of science, faith, and faith began to evolve. Some of the earliest formal religions were based upon the conflict between good and evil, darkness and light. In the heart of the Fertile Crescent, a belief system was developed by, I might chop this word up, Achaemenids. If I chopped it up, I am sorry, but Achaemenids, and emerged hundreds of years before the birth of Jesus Christ. The Zoroastrian religion based all worship upon two opposing forces, two dueling deities. Ahura Mazda, spirit of light, was constantly at war with Ahriman. Now, if I said that wrong, again, I apologize. These are words where I have not, I need to do research on them to see how they sound and the clear definitions of them. And I haven't yet. I got so excited about the message that I should have done a little bit of homework before I went forward. But again, I will do that. And I encourage, for those who may not understand, do the same if you feel called to it. With Ahriman, spirit of darkness, its emphasis was placed on light and truth in perpetual conflict with darkness and the lie. This religion stressed personal responsibility as relating to proper conduct, simplistic perhaps, compared with the intricate, multilateral diatribe of, for example, Catholicism. Yet basic tenets remain intact, standing the test of time. Most of the major philosophers have weighed in on this complex concept ever since someone originally sensed or conceptualized possessing a soul as humans become self-aware. St. Thomas Aquinas wrote extensively on the subject. Much of the historical literature available on the soul is found within religious texts worldwide, though it is often considered to be coveted by and exclusive to the framework of religious doctrine. Philosophers consider the existence of the soul theoretical in nature, as a point of view to be argued or referenced, either for or against, in challenge of assumption. William Paley derived his conclusions based solely upon logic, deductive reasoning, poised by his theory of the watch and the watchmaker. Paley's argument for the existence of God, simply stated, is that God must exist because the universe is far too complicated, a place to preclude the existence of a divine creator. Logic dictates that it is too intricate and interconnected to have been created by chance, much like the multitude of delicate mechanisms encased within a watch. It does not follow logically that these mechanisms would have come together accidentally in the formation of a device to measure time. His argument presumes deliberate intention and vision. In the stark absence of a watchmaker, it does not stand to reason that a watch could even exist if there is no one to create the device. A watch is utterly incapable of creating itself, thus crossing into the realm of mathematics, probability, and statistics. Paley believed it entirely implausible, in fact impossible, that the watch could create itself, either by chance or happenstance. Intelligence is a necessary ingredient and a prerequisite as an invisible component of the timepiece. Essentially, he'd suggested God creates man, man creates watch equals God creates watch. An equation, the stuff of science. Imagine that. The concept of God has been inextricably linked to the concept of soul. The I'm chopping these words up. The presupposition, and I apologize again and again, like me and words, it's like bleh. Being that a soul cannot exist without a God to bestow it upon humankind. But what if the two concepts are mutually exclusive? What if the soul is a vehicle, an energy source, which we arrive with and take along the journey through infinity. God could conceivably exist without imbuing soul upon humankind, and soul could exist as a separate and distinct from a creator. One does not necessarily presuppose or require the existence of the other. It is conceivable these two concepts have been inappropriately intermingled as humankind developed a sense of self and began craving an understanding of the cosmos and our position therein. It is as if human beings, while grappling with notions regarding the origin of the species, came to require something more, something beyond ourselves, to praise and to blame, a parental figure of whom we are made in the image and likeness of, preserved by passing on recognizable characteristics like a mother's eyes or a father's temperament. Or what if, as Mary Daly suggests, it is the creative potential itself in human beings that is the image of God? Perhaps the soul is the God consciousness within us, an invisible image and likeness we cannot see but sense by other means. William Paley passed away long ago, but went where? On his journey through the cosmos, he may have found the answers to his most urgent and pressing questions in life. But if he knows something which would end all the speculation, he and other curious like-minded souls should relieve us of the burden of conjecture and return to tell humanity the truth, unless, of course, it is supposed to remain inherently a secret. Truth be told, we have no earthly idea regarding the origin of the species or the universe, so how can so many speak with such authority on a subject they know nothing about? Why is this subject treated as a matter of faith when it is as much a matter of science? Humankind may never resolve the dilemma of this thing called life, but it will not be for lack of trying. Our attempt to unravel the threads of an infinite tapestry. The greatest minds on the planet, past and present, have kept constant vigil with the concept as a central theme, a proposition of the thought process, whether the catalyst be spiritual longing or scientific inquiry, whether the point of reference and persuasion begins in the study of faith or physics matters not. They are the same. They seek same. When science and religion merge as one, the true enlightenment will begin. What is spirit? Some remote historic being? An ephemeral state of mind? Real or ethereal? Physical or metaphysical? Natural or supernatural? Normal or paranormal? Or is it something beyond humanity? The touchstone between this and all other dimensions as ageless sage or symbiotic symbol. Spirit is ghostly and mostly a feeling. Perhaps it is instinct or intuition, the sixth sense humans possess, intrinsic knowledge of something beyond ourselves as well as something within ourselves, an attachment to something we perceive to be greater than ourselves, which manifests as ourselves. Certain cultures have integrated this convoluted sensory perception, sense of self, with the concept of soul, sharing mystical attributes assigned to both throughout time. Debate continues. Call it God consciousness. Identify and label it a dozen different ways. It may be just another delusion manufactured to create a comfort zone. Not necessarily divine providence, rather a realization of our own life force. In vast numbers, humanity believes in the existence of spirit, if not the spirit world, as long as it remains invisible and intangible, elusive idea. Yet while willing to embrace the concept of spirit on faith alone, once spirits manifest as a substantia form, it becomes suspect, no longer retaining any credibility in the eyes of those who would otherwise argue for its existence, some of whom stand and preach from gilded pulpits. Once they can see it, they don't believe it anymore. Ironic, specifically regarding Roman Catholic doctrine, High Mass, and the liturgy. Oh my gosh, and I know this word, so being Catholic myself, liturgy, virtually requires a suspension of disbelief, including a presumption of the existence of the Holy Ghost Spirit. What if humanity is a manifestation, an energy taking form on plane of action? Earth, its current domain. We are all residents in one form or another. Does a ghost feel any less real than we do in our own skin? When they appear, do they feel anything? Do they sense any pleasure or pain, sorrow or joy? Or are these sensations merely a distant recollection, a vague, nondescript memory they attempt to recapture or dispel? Are they present with a purpose beyond our ability to reason? Why would a presumably benevolent, omnipresent God allow any human being's access or exposure to supernatural entities if their existence was supposed to be kept a secret, unless, of course, they are the gift? When revealing themselves to mortals in form and substance, it is a decision, their intention to do so. Do these beings control their own destiny? Does free will exist after death, or is God willing it so as a message to be received from beyond the grave? Is there a predetermined outcome to frighten or inform? This is a determination which can only be drawn by witnesses, if at all. Only through the third eye of the beholder can one discern what meaning, if any, should be assigned and attributed to the close encounters of the bizarre kind. Odd only because they are so unusual. What if all the conjecture was no longer necessary? What if everyone knew, beyond the shadows of the doubt in which they lurk, awaiting acknowledgement, if mortals knew spirits dwelled among them within their own homes, this would soon become an entirely accepted idea, commonplace, like having pets. As for this farmhouse in Harrisville, some in-house spirits were pets, cats, dogs to be precise. Then why do some places seem particularly prone to supernatural activity? They all seem to share a common theme: history. For instance, the majority of people in England believe in spirits because they dwell within the centuries-old houses where many events have shaped the history, apparently affecting the energy of the places and spaces. As a society, they are far more accepting of the phenomena because it is commonplace. The older the home place, the greater the chance someone who once lived within its walls was either unable or unwilling to part with it in the end, to leave it behind in mind. Its ghosts may well be nothing more than consciousness manifesting in form, memory as a hologram. The ongoing speculation regarding what holds and keeps spirit earthbound generally includes a theory pertaining to sudden or tragic death. It is a common belief that those who meet their end abruptly or savagely may become incapable of leaving this realm with unresolved issues, unable to move forward to where we do not know. Their transition may have occurred so quickly or traumatically they either weren't prepared to die or do not yet realize they're dead. Likewise, there is an equally common hypothesis which suggests these souls suffer a morbid existence, struggling through eternity in miserable, depraved circumstances, purgatory. These timeless beings spend infinity wandering aimlessly through space, returning to the only home they recall, to the only place they know to go, in quiet desperation, lingering in eternal expiating darkness. They seek solace, grace, and guidance to the other side, unable to follow or even see the light. In an alternative hypothesis, they are the light, the source of all, and an enlightenment, but to please or provoke. Based upon the numerous observations made over the course of time at the Harrisville house, the Perron family refutes some of these claims. They have both witnessed and interacted with spirits who did not seem to be the least bit uncomfortable in their current circumstances. They have witnessed a variety of apparitions seemingly present with no purpose or reason at all, certainly never intending to scare or harm anyone. The spirits were often oblivious to the mortals sharing space with them at any given moment, as if the mortals were the invisible ghosts sharing their space. Several members of the family encountered the spirit they referred to as Bathsheba, one who apparently loathed Carolyn, but adored and coveted her children. Each of the ghosts arrived from the netherworld with personality intact. Yeah, I'll get to that. The same apparition would manifest at different times, wearing different outfits, appearing at different ages and different stages of life. Yeah. Old then young again. Amazing. Immortal beings recognized and acknowledged over time. Relationships, bonds of trust formed between individuals based on this familiarity. As an awareness of the spirits gradually increased, acceptance accompanied knowledge, and a certain comfort level was naturally attained as these non-threatening entities repeatedly made their presence known within the house. The parents perceived them as being quite like us. In many respects, they retain moods and emotions, from peaceful, loving souls to antagonistic and hateful, sometimes placidly observant and sometimes bemused and mischievous, other times vindictive and belligerent, jealous and cruel. The mix of characters could at times seem like a cast of thousands. Bathsheba, mean-spirited in the extreme, is the only troublemaker in the lot of them. However, it was not so unusual for an otherwise benign presence to become equally intrusive, especially when they were receiving company. Some do have a tendency to show off, seemingly relishing shock value associated with their presence. Surprisingly, they do take no for an answer. This also important to know. They do take no for an answer, even Bathsheba. Get out. Just say it like you mean it. And they'll go, usually pretty fast. Begging God works too. Some advice, according to Cynthia, a reliable source from an experienced perspective. Precisely what are they responding to as they depart so abruptly, as quickly as they came? Are they respecting a request or fearful of divine intervention? Does it hurt their feelings? Do they leave feeling satisfied by the overt acknowledgement received or offended by the dismissal? A mesmerizing, illusionary intermingling of dead and living alike. Encounters range from provocative to disinterested, malignant to benign, imaginable to inconceivable. Encounters occurred quite frequently, sightings so repetitious. They lost a certain supernatural quality and became rather natural part of life to a family forced to adapt to the new paranormal. It is within this context they consider the ghosts as individuals. Each one had a hidden agenda. Every spirit intrinsically motivated by some incomprehensible desire to be. Therefore, assigning any particular meaning to the afterlife is absurd. It is to presume and articulate knowledge mortals simply do not possess. The significance of spirit lies in its existence instead of its reason for being. Doesn't the presence of spirit indicate or presuppose the existence of God? Should they be classified as same with the order of angels within risen or fallen? Or are they separate and distinct entities? Does it not presume this state of being as a form of divine retribution, punishment, the result of a life ill-lived? Purgatory thus dooms those who occupy it. According to religious doctrine and dogma, it represents a perpetual penance, as infinite reflection upon a lifetime which did not quite measure up to divine expectations. No entrance to heaven, but at least it is an escape from hell. Or is it? There is no divine presence, no oracle obvious to humanity at this time. No one available for the purpose of clarification. No one wise soul to dispense the enigmatic, allegorical predictions we seek. no one to consult as a holy prophetic deity. Messages may come instead from the many who return. Most likely it will be science, not religion, which ultimately resolves this ongoing dilemma, settling an age-old dispute while deciphering the ambiguous, revealing the dictates and parameters of our human comprehension of the universe, and this unique role we play within it. Perhaps philosophers and theologians, those scientists and scholars most interested in the subject over the course of time, should be the ones to return to reveal exactly what's going on out there in the cosmos. Revisit to answer those relevant questions posed during their mortal lifetimes. Perhaps they have returned over time and we have seen and heard them, but did not listen because we did not know how. We could not believe our eyes. Who knows? Is it a fate worse than death to pass on from this world only to linger eternally in the netherworld? Are spiritual beings plagued by desires of and for earth? When they visit, are they really homeward bound? Are they the haunted or the haunting? Everlasting life may be a quandary. Immortality may be both a blessing and a curse. Spirits who currently inhabit the house at the farm do not appear to be particularly miserable, save one. Bathsheba was tormented in life and now torments her successors in death. Of this, the family is certain, whether by association with or as the demon. She is still serving a sentence self-imposed upon her. I'm going to read that again. She is still serving a sentence self-imposed upon her in life. No, she was not convicted, no jury of her peers convened. No judgment rendered in a court of law, case dismissed. Yet, during her lifetime, Bathsheba remained perpetually haunted by a charge, and the jury of her peers came in the form of suspicious villagers, assuming she was guilty of a horrendous crime. The murder of a baby as a sacrificial lamb, perceived lifelong as one wicked witch of a woman, presumed guilty. Bathsheba's exoneration was meaningless to most, as this grave repetition preceding her, known to others. Far and wide is the infamous evil temptress in life. Bathsheba remains an enigma in death. There were whispers that she hung herself in the barn to punish a family she loathed. Rumors that she is not actually buried beneath her tombstone because the church would not allow her interment in consecrated ground. There is still speculation, some who believe she lies in the well beneath the bellstone. As with her spirit, the mystery lives on for eternity. As for the Perron family, they no longer seek details of her tortured life and death. It matters not. If she was indeed remain suspended in either of the netherworld, unable to move on to another existence in another realm, it may not necessarily be up as punishment or by her own doing. In agreement with and decreed by the devil, Satan may be the fall guy of the table. Carolyn turned all of her notes and sketches over to the Warrens during an investigation of the house more than 35 years ago. Even though she would like all these materials returned as keepsakes for her children, she does not wish to pursue the historical element of this research any further. Her presumption that spirit exists based upon her consciousness-altering encounters is to know enough. Knowledge integral to faith, unlike those rooted in faith as an occupation. Those who claim to believe in what they cannot see yet balk at the concept of spirit as tangible force and reality. Carolyn knows better. When she witnessed a multitude of manifestations of spirit in every conceivable shape, size, and form, it was with a reliance upon keen senses, the ones human beings trust, which she based her interpretations of what was there before her eyes. Well, they don't call them visions for nothing. When sight, smell, taste, and touch impact a consciousness, it leaves a mark, a memory, A distinct sound can be retained in mind forever. Click. Though she remains curious about Bathsheba Sherman, her origin as well as her ultimate fate. This research ended long ago. I feel like I should stop here because literally there's so much to this chapter that I just don't want to read any. I feel it's for others to seek out the rest, but here's the thing. I was born with these gifts, and I have been talking to angelics, for whatever that means. I have been talking to spirits since I was a little girl. And I can tell you that just like this family and maybe many others, even with me going, because the work that I do, ever since I was a little girl, I didn't know I was doing it at the time, but I would travel spiritually to other realms, other dimensions. And I didn't know what I was doing at the time. And still to this day, I got so many questions about it. I mean, Jesus said himself that his kingdom is one of many mansions. I mean, there's so many different levels to this, and there's so much to spirit. This is the thing that I love about what she has to say and throughout her book is that we all have a piece of the puzzle, but there's just no way you can know it all. There's no way, even through my life experience, and like I'm 47 right at, 47 years old right now, and been doing this my whole life, been helping others since my early 20s, walking my path, and then professionally in my late 20s, early 30s, and like there's just no way. Like, and here's the thing with definitions as well. Like she was talking about definitions. I mean, how do you define that in a way that you could possibly fully understand it? There are not the words. There's the feeling. There's the heart recognition, the soul recognition. But this can never bring it to the forefront to the fullest degree of understanding. So yeah, and when she was talking about, the spirits being there, and it seemed like sometimes they didn't even know that they were in the home. It was like they were living in a whole other existence. I ran into that. 12 years old, I went to a field trip in underground Seattle, and like again, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just naturally being, as a child with so little understanding. But I was literally watching the spirits underground, the guys wearing their suspenders with the, I don't know what you would call those pants, but they're, I don't know, knickers maybe? I don't know. They had their boots. They were working men, and they had like the little chap hat, that you would see a lot of guys from, I don't know what you would call them, but you see a lot of guys from like Ireland wearing them and stuff. And a lot of guys here wear them too. It's kind of become a fad right now. But I would see them, and they would have their sleeves rolled up, and like, I didn't know anything about history at that age, but I remember it so clearly, so vividly, because you can't have an experience like that and not. And the energy was so intense at that time. And again, I've talked about this in a previous video, where I was talking about the underground experience where the woman followed me home and how intense that was. But I just wanted to elaborate a little bit, because going through that and remembering it so vividly, what they were doing. I mean, there was guys that were like it had a big round handle on the door that was turning this door. I don't know what they were doing. I don't remember. Like it was the lesson of what was, they were teaching about what happened in Seattle at that time, going back their history. But I would see it. We would walk in different places and I would see the spirits there before they even started talking about it. I don't know how to explain that. Like that would seem kind of more like a memory, like a residual that was left, an imprint or footprint left behind, that maybe the walls, everything is energy, like everything is energy. Maybe the energy of those walls held those memories in. I don't know. I can't honestly, with full confidence, answer that for anyone. It's a mystery, but it's something that we're always trying to figure out. And I experienced it, and I can only explain it from, yeah, this happened, but I don't have the full understanding. I have an idea what it could be, but again, I'm just sharing an idea from an experience as a child. And it would be foolish of me to try to give it a definition or an understanding that even to this day, I do not fully have. Okay. Again, on the other end of it, there were spirits there that would turn their heads and look at me and smile. Okay. I'm walking through with all my other classmates and stuff, following the teacher and the, tour guide and stuff like that. And like certain areas of where we were at, like the energy, I would feel it just before I would start to walk in that room and start to build up, and the hair on my arms would, it happens. It's a natural physical reaction to the energy that you feel. And often people don't know what it is, and a lot of people do, but I would feel that build up, and my heart would start racing a little bit. The anxiety, I was such an anxious kid, and I still go through it sometimes, feeling things around me. I still go through that, but I know what it is. I have an understanding of it, and that helps me get through it. An understanding in my own perceptions, in my own definitions, and again, it could be a comfort zone, but it's helped me to be able to move through that and work with what I know here, okay? But yeah, I would have, like certain areas of that field trip, I'd be walking through and there would be a spirit that would be standing there and looking at me and then smile. So then that's different. That's an interactive spirit. That is an intelligence there. That is a being. Again, from my understanding, from my experience, that is a being that is well aware of its existence, where it's at, and is very aware of us being in that room, okay? Of course, the rest of the kids were not aware. The teacher was not aware. The tour guide was not aware, at least to my knowledge. I mean, maybe they were aware, and some of them had gifts as well, or we all have gifts. Their gifts were in tune as well, but they did not speak it. So therefore I cannot say really whether they did or not, but they certainly did not behave like they were aware. Whereas I was very quiet and just oh God, and I just wanted to make sure that I was somewhat in the middle of the class, because what you don't understand, you fear, right? And as a kid, you're going to fear that stuff, and it can be quite traumatizing. The spirit following me home and coming to me in my dream and then being right there when I woke up was traumatizing to me as a child. Very traumatizing, because I didn't understand. So I feared. And it wasn't until I got into my early 20s that I started to understand that spirit had guided me. And I mean, in the most surreal kind of ways of, like my boss seeing that there was something to me and bringing him to his seer and healer that he would go to for guidance, to her bringing the message from spirit. And then the next thing I know is I get out of dental school and I start working with a friend of mine, doing my internship. And then there's a metaphysical shop in the shop that it used to be a mechanic shop that was in front of my great-grandparents' old house. Like, I mean, mind-blowing experiences along my path. Like, it was my granddad's parents that lived behind the shop. It was my granddad from the time that I was 7 years old, when he passed away from cancer, that had been there with me from the get-go. And in that metaphysical shop was my first spiritual teacher. And I do believe that I shared this in my other videos, where Spirit was giving her synchronistic messages that she was to teach me. And I kept feeling like she was my teacher. And I had said that one time coming into her shop because I kept getting drawn to her shop. And I kept looking at all her stuff without even knowing what I was looking at. I mean, I was born, raised Catholic. I had no idea. I just knew I had gifts that had just been confirmed and validation from the previous reader, from my old boss. I mean, I knew here. I had no concept here. And even now, like, I still look back at all of this, all throughout the years, and I'm just mind blown. Like, I chose this. Apparently, on the other side, I chose to go through the experience to help those in need. That is from many synchronistic messages that many of us get with Spirit, that there's a rhyme or reason to the madness. I don't understand it. It seems like complete madness and chaos to me. But it does to Spirit. And we get guided through it, all the way through it. But there is no way I can define that or explain it in its truest way. And I get tripped up every single time. Every single time. When I'm trying to introduce myself, I like shaman, hedge witch, medium, psychic, spiritual life coach. I do all the things. There's no way we can fully define this, not to the fullest degree of it. And then we've got this chaos going of who should use these definitions for what. These definitions, although it could be an illusion on its own, it is the greatest way for us to explain our experiences. What words do you have for those? So, and again, I'm not saying this in like a, triggered way. I'm not triggered at all. I'm just, this is me being serious. This is me being real. This is me being like full forthcoming about what this life has been, and beautiful, even through all the darkest stuff. I have seen the light. I have seen the beauty within the darkness. Through the traumas that I've experienced, the heartbreak, as hard and grueling as it was, as many times as I've kicked my feet, screaming and cursing at the ancestors. And yes, I've had those days. I've seen the beauty of it. And throughout all of it, the inner knowing was there that I had to go through this. It's kind of like giving birth. You know it's going to hurt like hell. But you know that you're birthing something new and beautiful. And so that's why I really felt like I needed to share that. They went through a lot. Like, her books are so beautiful. For all those who may want to look into Andrea Perron, those books, okay, You would know this family by The Conjuring. She's the true, authentic story of The Conjuring. She was one of the children. So her truth, so brutally authentic. But her books are amazing. What she has been through. And yet they were able to see the light. And when you read the books, you're just going to be like, oh my God, like even me I've only went through a few traumatizing paranormal events in my life. Okay. Most of mine has been with an ancestral family, those kinds of traumas. And that's what I help others with by working with spirit, by working with the ancestors, with family. I'm connecting them to their loved ones on the other side. And I'll even tell you this, even while I'm doing that, I'm like, I don't know, the truth, the thing, that magic that comes through at that moment is the validation that there's no way that I can know what I'm having the courage to speak, what I see, what I feel, what I smell, what I hear, that I have the courage and strength to bring it forward to them in full faith of that inner knowing of what's going on here. That's all I can speak of it, because otherwise it's like, oh my gosh, so many times I've told spirit, am I really doing, I know it's them as well. It's all of us. We're all one consciousness, right? But I'm like, oh my God, am I really doing this? I feel like I'm going crazy. I'm pretty sure I'm going crazy, right? To this day, there are just such mind-blowing, amazing experiences within that itself. And I just have to look at it. Am I a part of it? Yes. In a small way. I'm really in that room too, learning, experiencing, growing, and healing just as much as the person that have been called, or they have been called to me to help with their situations. And the healing that comes from it, the hope, the faith, the love, the laughter, the joy, the pain, the suffering, the trauma, all of it, beautiful. All of it is light in different shades and colors. And I just, wow, her books, okay? Hers was more of a paranormal trauma. Again, mine is clearly family, working with the ancestors and spirit as well, growing, going through those types of experiences. And again, you see me tripping up on words to express it, but wow, how they were able to see the beauty in that and the light, even though you still have the scars from all that. The stories, I don't want to get into depth on their stories, because I really feel like it's her story, it's not mine. And for those who might be called to read it, oh my gosh, you won't be disappointed. Or, I guess some of you may be disappointed. It's not right for me to speak for you in that sense. I'm trying to keep myself within integrity and check when I'm explaining this. But for me, it absolutely was, because it's and yet you've seen the beauty, after all that. And I look at my own life and I'm like, and yet I see the beauty. I see, after coming out the other side, I see the purpose. I see the purpose of that. And at times when I'm actually able to fully let go and accept, because acceptance is key, accepting for things for as they are, and doing the things that you can do and letting go of the things that you can't. And it's a hard lesson to learn that I still struggle with, just authentically speaking of my own ego self with my own spiritual self. I struggle even today, even right now, I struggle with that. Certain situations come up within family, and there's no other way for me, my children are I'm a mama at heart. Like, it's like, I even remember a friend doing my astrology chart for me, and she's like, you would raise all the children in the world if you could. Yeah, I love being a mama. I love my babies. You know, I love all my babies. Doesn't matter how they got here, whether they were, you know, little wounded warriors that ended up at my house through my kids, you know, or my step babies, or I don't see the difference. They're children and I love them, you know. And kind of lost sight of where I was going, because I was just talking to, I really just lost it right there. Just give me a moment before I go. Oh, okay. Anyways, throughout all of it, and the situations that I went through with my kids, there's where we were at. And how painful and grueling it's been to watch them go through what I did and have no control to protect them. And as a parent, that's all you want to do, because you love them so much. You want them to grow. You want them to get out there into that world and have all the tools that they need to be the best aspect of themselves, to be the best authentic aspects of themselves. And you want them to have all that nurturing and love in their life for them to do that. And no parent's perfect. I am certainly not a perfect parent. I will 100% call myself on that. Every parent makes mistakes, but there's a difference between deliberate, because you can't deal and heal with your own stuff. Out of selfishness, you would let your children suffer, or just innocent mistakes that you make along the way, but you really mean well and you're really trying to do the best for your children. There's a difference. There's a clear difference. And when you don't have control, and that's the thing, is letting go of that. That's a hard thing to let go of as a parent. It is a clear lesson from spirit, a genuine, clear lesson that as a parent, you got to let go and let them learn. And it's something that the ancestors have taught me in a very deep way, walking my shamanic path. So I have some amazing stories that I do want to bring up. Oh man, there's just so much. There's really so much. And as you can see right now in this moment, you know, like reading that book, so much passion within me with this. I could talk about this all day long, about, you know, the duality of life, you know, the polarity, the traumas that we experience, but those traumas, within the darkness, within the parts of us that we don't want to see, that seem so scary, is the authentic gifts within ourselves. It really is the authentic gifts within ourselves. There's a beauty within that. There's a light. It brings us to our true selves. There's a purpose within it. And so that's what's really important for me to share before I go on to my videos of the really hard stuff that's still kind of hard for me to talk about, that I trip up on. Because as you can see, at times I still get welled up. The scars, they'll never go away. There might be forgiveness, there might be understanding, there might be beauty and light and all that. But this wounded warrior still carries the scars all over her soul. So, but those scars are beautiful. And the experiences have opened me up to a true potential. And I think that's the purpose of it. You know, it helps us to become lighter and brighter. It isn't always the case for everyone. Not everyone. There's the crossroads in whatever path you choose to take, but it is our own free will choice to make, and we are accountable and responsible for our choices. And for every action is a reaction. And I will talk about that in the next videos to come. But for now, I think I will close this one. And again, it's House of Darkness, House of Light, or it might be vice versa, but it is by Andrea Perron. And what her family has went through is just incredibly amazing to me. Her whole story, I just love her. I love how she puts the passages or quotes from other authors in there that really touches us on a deep level, that really means something because it's talking about life, you know, whether paranormal, and again, definitions, whether paranormal, physical, life, it's all one. Like, we continue to learn and grow. I mean, I can go on and on. And I talk about it more and more as I share my stories, but for now, we'll go ahead and close this. And thank you so much for watching. I hope that, I pray and hope that, that those that need to see this video will, for their highest, best, or better in their own growth. Of course, I know that, Spirit's kind of drawn me to do this for this purpose. So I have no doubt that it will get out to those that need to hear it. But it is always a blessing and an honor that I am truly devoted and so passionately love. And on to the next. Bye, guys.